here talking about tiny houses. We're with the architect, Colin Kaplan, and with the homeowner, Nina Lentini. Thank you so much for coming on. We're going to show this house in just a minute. So I saw you build this house for Nina. It's under 700 square feet, and what caught my eye is that it's Art Deco. So let's show the pictures of this house. Now this you took from the Anchor, which is well known in New Haven, Nina, also a demolished Art Deco theater in Hamden, and the Eli, which is also Art Deco in New Haven. And then coming back to the table here, so she says to you, I want to do all this together and make it a house?
Yeah, we basically, as a designer, I had the best clients you could ever ask. Somebody who said, give us a wonderful design in Art Deco and build us a small house. And so I think that's what the challenge was here. You can do anything with a small project. You just have to know how to listen and how to read. And those are two very important things to do in any profession. So one thing was to understand, when they said Art Deco, it's one of my favorites, and I know it's one of yours.
You're not even old enough to know about it. But why Art Deco?
I think it was my husband's idea, actually. I was open to it, but I believe it was Richard who said that he wanted something with Art Deco. And we do happen to have Art Deco objects in our house, just organically.
Do you have McCoy pottery and things like that?
No, we don't.
See, I do.
I'm not
so
that, okay.
That speaks to me. So you said, okay, and then you love Art Deco, so you put these pieces together of buildings in New Haven and Hamden that people knew.
So these are, Art Deco is iconic. It's very rare, actually, in this area of Connecticut, or even in this area of the country. Art Deco is kind of underappreciated. It's a kind of sculpturesque style of building. It has lots of monumental features, and it also has kind of a sensuality, a curviness to it.
It has some style.
It does, and it was one of the first styles to come out that was escaping the classical styles. It had nothing to do with the classical. It went forward, it looked up into the sky, because it came out when New York City was looking into the sky.
The Chrysler Building,
Exactly.
right? The Empire State Building.
Exactly. So, so one of the, and it even has a kind of a maritime atmosphere to it. So we tried to put that together on the facade, what you see from the street, and then ultimately what's behind in the back is completely different, and that was also a request of Nina.
All right, let's take a few more shots of the outside. And you're right, it is a little bit nautical. The colors, who picked the colors?
That was absolutely Nina and Richard.
And is it gray and a cream? What are the two colors?
It's a blue-gray. I don't know what you'd call it, really. Yeah, like a sand colored. And
let's go inside now. This is the back. And you have a little deck out back.
And the back is completely not Art Deco.
No, it isn't. Now inside, modern. And the ceilings are really high. So it's under 700 square feet. What is it, 670 you said?
It's something
like
in the range of like 675 inside. And what's so fascinating about the space is that you just don't feel cramped. And when you get 15-foot ceilings on one side, 12-foot on the other, it's almost a double height space. And that was the original intention that Nina and Richard wanted, was maybe we could get a loft. But we ended up kind of nixing that idea, keeping the high ceilings, and getting a very simple but easy to build structure.
And that's the bedroom.
That's the master bedroom.
All right, so there's two bedrooms in this. All right, so you say to your husband, Nina, or he says to you, let's build a really small house. Is this exactly what you had in mind?
Yeah.
What did you do with all your stuff?
Well, first we moved to New Haven 3 years ago from Norwich. We were there for 17 years, raising 2 kids, and my parents had passed in Cheshire, and all the stuff we had to deal with, my siblings and I said, I don't want this. I don't want our kids to have to go through all this stuff we have. So we said, let's think about moving and let's downsize. So we picked New Haven after some search, and we fit everything into a 17-foot van, moving truck. And we got here and got a 2-bedroom apartment in East Rock, and thought, we're never going to own a place again. We're going to rent for the rest of our lives. And then along came Colin. And I had seen this empty lot being advertised, and we decided that we were interested in it. And so we bought it, and we met Colin by chance on one of his Taste of New Haven tours, and we were all in. All three of us were all into the concept of a small home, and we were happy to downsize again when we moved from the apartment, which was larger.
What is tough about living in under 700 square feet? You're taking a while to think, which means nothing, right? So you have less clothes, you have less stuff.
Stuff. You know, you have stuff, right?
Right.
I mean, everybody has stuff, and nature abhors the vacuum. So we fill our homes, and as big as they go, we're still going to be.
And you find when you have less, it's okay.
Yeah, you don't miss it.
It's really okay.
You really don't miss it.
Did you start out as an architect thinking you would build small houses?
Actually, I started out designing with a company called Neighborhood Housing Services in New Haven, designing homes that were meant for people who had families and they were going to fill in these old homes. You know, you had to fit in a lot of stuff into small places. They weren't necessarily small homes, but imagine like taking a Victorian home that didn't have closets and modern day kitchens and trying to maximize how people live today. And so, no, I didn't think I was going to design small homes, but there's nothing more, I guess, exciting and exhilarating about trying to compact a family's life into a small place and say, you know what, they could survive in there. They could be happy.
Survive well.
Yeah.
What has been the feedback on this house? Because you've gotten a lot of press on it.
We have gotten a lot of press. And thanks to...
Well, it's Nina, of course. Look at her. She's electric.
Nina is a very... Nina and Richard have literally created a kind of a new movement in New Haven, and that is to look at the inner city, look at sliver lots, look at lots that are not necessarily ready for buildings, and say, what can we do? How can we challenge this place and build a little house, a small place that's affordable, and actually make it a livable place. And that's what cities are all about. They started out, say, you know, being places for people that were just coming to the country and building their lives again.
3-family homes, right?
Yeah. Now people are literally coming from the country back into the city. So I think that's a fascinating kind of way of looking at how Nina and Richard have, you know, sort of made New Haven their home and their kind of place to settle in. A small home, it makes a lot of sense.
Nina, have you entertained there, and what do people tell you when they come over?
Oh, they're just amazed. They walk through the door and they go, oh, wow, because they see the tall walls and the ceilings up there, the glass on the sides, on the south and the west side. The sun comes pouring in. It's just a wonderful space. Nobody's lacking for room there when we have guests for dinner or you know, casual get-togethers.
You find you have enough space that you can go to your corner, your husband can go to his, and everything's all good?
Yes, and then we certainly need that.
So there won't be any adding on of this house?
I don't anticipate.
Except for, we talked about a rooftop bar.
Yeah, a rooftop terrace is what my husband would like to have, something up, you know, off of the roof. But who knows? I know Colin left it so that we could eventually do so with a circular staircase. Is that right?
Yeah, we could do a loft. I mean, there's enough headroom, and you could do a dormer within this very simple roof.
Yeah.
You could actually augment the place. I mean, one thing about buildings is if they're static, they can't grow, and then you're kind of stuck. This building actually can grow, and it could do something off the back and have a kind of rooftop, second story, almost like a little treehouse experience. And I think that's the way, if they want it, when they're ready, that can happen. And so the small house actually stays small, but it has more use. So it's fascinating. I mean,
that's another thing you could do, is you could build tree houses like that.
Let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that. So tree houses and tiny houses. I mean, after the crash in 2009, right, everybody got scared and they started to live simpler lives and kind of get rid of all the stuff, because many were forced to get rid of stuff. And we found that we didn't need that much stuff, if we can use that term. Do you foresee whole neighborhoods of these around?
Well, what I see is that, you know, you could have neighborhoods of this, but then you'd have literally neighborhoods that were, of course, like-minded, planned people all together, all at once. I think what's going to happen is that people are going to look for spots that are challenging and create small houses on them. And even if you're in a big lot and you want to have a small house, it actually has its benefits. Benefits are efficiency, economy of scale, you know, intimacy, something we forget about. It's like who goes camping anymore? how much fun is camping?
Well, you could put one of these on wheels too. I mean, you could buy, you know, you see the shows all the time, tiny houses on wheels.
Absolutely. So I think when we were talking, you mentioned why not just create a plan where it could just do any style, and you have a nice plan, and it's kind of what, going back to the old days of these catalogs. Sears,
right?
Sears Roebuck's catalog, where you can create like a model house, and it's on spec, and it's like you pick your own, you choose and pick, and it feels custom, and it's actually very affordable, and you can kind of do it on your own, and if you know a contractor, you can get it done. So I think we could be on that road right now.
Affordability, it's less expensive, right? I mean, there's a lot in this, but it's less expensive than if you built a bigger house, or the more nuance you put in, of course, the more expensive it's going to be, right? Yeah,
I mean, most of the expense would come in, you could say, in size, of course, in square footage, but it's really in the finishes.
Right.
I mean, you're talking about, like, what do you want on your floors, what do you want in your bathrooms, the kitchens, what kind of equipment you want. This house happened to be very efficient in its materials. We used a lot of fiber board for the exterior. We used very simple materials on the inside, like very naughty grade C pine.
Oh, that was the interesting thing. You said it was a very low cost because it's got a lot of knots in it. Well, who would have thought you'd prefer the low cost?
Right, because it's interesting looking.
But it is, yeah.
What would you do differently if you could now that the house is up? What would you change? Anything? You are so happy.
I tell you, I am. I haven't gone on vacation all summer. I want to be there. I love it.
And you can clean it in 5 minutes.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's no rugs. You know, so just Swiffer, clean.
Well, I want to thank you for bringing Art Deco back to the city, because this is awesome. Colin, thanks so much, and I can't wait to see what you do next.
Your house.
My house.
Yeah.
A tiny. How about a tree house?
You got it.
Awesome. Thanks again.
Cheers.
Spend all night kissing, and if one was right here, then who else is missing? Got a little sidetracked, if I'm a wishing to find the keys to the door, but it's also a metaphor. Things keep locked in the grocery store, but mine just the same time. Skip right ahead to the last ride.